Did you know that gladiators rarely died in battle? That daylight savings time was originally intended for bug collecting? And that the man who created the headless horseman also invented Santa Claus? Learn the truth behind these and much more in my new book, Facts That Aren't True. Link in the description.
You can't really define what good is without a biblical context, right? Have you heard about that before?
I've heard people say that. I think that that's just utterly stupid.
Okay, I'd like to hear, like, how could you say something is objectively good without a biblical
I don't believe in
context?
objective morals, but excuse me, even if objective morals exist, they obviously don't come from the Bible.
Okay, so since you said you don't believe in objective morals, right? Meaning your morality doesn't necessarily have to be the right one, right? Meaning there is no right or wrong for it, right?
That's basically true, but what you can say is that there are, like, if somebody tries to build a moral system and it's literally a contradiction, or it's predicated on things that are just known to be false, then I would say you are within your right to say that like meta ethical framework is invalid.
That makes sense. And what do you mean by things that are known to be right? What does that mean?
Sure, for example, like if you have a moral system that says people with like that pushes eugenics, well, we just know scientifically that eugenics is basically completely false. So it's not it's literally not normatively, ethically, or morally true that you should do eugenics.
What do you mean by eugenics? I'm sorry, I haven't heard of that before.
That's like the idea where like they would prevent certain people from breeding if they had
Oh, okay.
like mental disorders or some sort of psychosis or whatever, or if they were alcoholics, that kind of thing.
Okay. So, okay, that sounds good. So, just to clarify, if I were to give you a scenario where I told you killing someone who is completely innocent is wrong, you would say I mean, you might agree, but you wouldn't agree that that's objectively wrong to do that, right?
Well, sorry to clear my throat. So if we can say that murder by definition is wrong, then I can absolutely say that it's I would say it's like analytically true. And to me, I don't really see necessarily a problem with saying that that's objectively wrong.
But what I'm trying to say is, without a biblical context, you can't say that it's objectively wrong because someone else could just as easily, with the same logical process of thinking, say that murdering someone who's innocent, meaning has done nothing wrong, is totally fine.
That happens millions of times in the Bible is the problem. So you can't use the Bible to do that.
No. Let's not use the Bible for now. Let's not.
But that's
Okay,
your
sure.
argument. Your
I did
argument
mention
is
it.
that
Yeah. No,
outside the
but
Bible, these kinds of claims can't be made. But your
let's
Bible
let's
literally,
generalize it then. Let's generalize it that there has to be some sort of fundamental basis, right? Would you agree on that? Maybe not the Bible, but there has to be something, right? Otherwise,
no.
then how could you
I
possibly?
don't think that moral facts exist. So
So you're telling me that it's okay for someone to say that it's right to kill someone who's innocent?
I don't think that that's correct at all.
No, you would have to say that that's their opinion, meaning that you can't
Yes,
say
that is
that,
their opinion. I don't have to endorse other people's opinions.
but you can't
Moral
say that it's
moral
wrong either.
relativism is not I believe that all moral propositions are equally valid and valuable. It's the recognition that different people have different starting points, cultural norms and mores, whatever, that dictate what they think is good, right, practical,
So So if
etc.
we were in a society, let's say in Nazi Germany, let's say if they had won whatever, let's hypothetical, and the society thinks it's okay to kill a certain type of race or a certain category of people, since society says so, and uh, it's the norm. You would say that they're valid for saying that. You would say that's valid. Not that it's correct,
I
but it's
never.
valid. You would say.
That's kind of the opposite of what I said. Um, I said being a moral relativist doesn't mean I have to accept that what they think is valid or whatever. They have their reasons. There's no I don't know how to put it. What was I going to
You
say?
can't.
I don't
You
know
can't.
exactly how to put it. I recognize, I understand, and it's kind of unfortunate that people can be convinced that their moral framework is the proper one. But what's the logical argument that yours is correct and theirs is incorrect?
Yeah, and you would have to agree that without a base, which whatever it is, we haven't come to that yet. Without having a base, you would have to say that they're equally as right as you are for saying that it's wrong. They're equally as right for saying that it is correct to do
No.
such an act.
No, literally no.
Okay,
I mean,
maybe I
if you
missed
don't,
it. I'll listen to
well,
you.
the way you're putting this is very weird. If you're saying without a base, that's just saying if nothing is true, then nobody can agree what is true. That's the case. But I do have bases for which I believe there is such thing as a good action or a bad action, right? So causing harm would be one of them. An ideology that is predicated on things that are literally false, which the
Yeah,
doctrines
what I'm asking is
of
why
that.
why is that right?
Why is what right? Causing harm?
Like not causing harm. So you said like you just said that it's wrong to cause harm for no reason or whatever.
Yeah, by
I'm asking why is
definition.
that right?
That's how it's
Meaning
defined.
that if someone else defines another way, then they
Nope.
would be valid as well.
No. Well, I don't know what you mean by that exactly. Nobody defines harm, causing harm, as something that is by definition good. Now, there's weird. Harm's probably not a great term. A better term would maybe be like murder or something like that, because
There are a lot of
going to the
people
gym
who are
sometimes
psychopaths that would
causes
consider it to
muscle
be okay.
aches, but it's overall good for your well-being. So that harm is a little bit of a too nebulous of a term almost, but I think we all kind of get where the logic is coming from here.
Yeah, like I don't understand how you're able to say that that person's logic is not valid. If they say the harm is good, it's good to harm anyone. How could you say it's not valid?
There's a 0% chance that anybody thinks that. That is literally antithetical to human nature. Nobody in the world thinks it is good for other people to harm me. If they think it's good for me to harm other people, then what I can say to them or ask them is, give me the logical reason, or tell me why it is in evidence that it's okay or that it's not okay for anybody to harm you against your will or whatever, but it is okay for you to harm other people. They can't do that, so that obliterates whatever kind of framework they're trying to go with here.
I mean, sure they can. Like, before I give you an example,
What's the logical argument that it's okay for somebody to harm other people, but it's not okay for anybody to harm them?
Because someone could just say, because I'm the best, so everyone is below me.
That is not a logical argument.
So what would be your logical argument that it's wrong to harm anyone?
I would say it's wrong by definition. Like, why is a bachelor not married? Because they're not married. Boom, roasted.
Wait, so can
a bachelor be married?
Wait, what's a bachelor? English is not my first language.
A bachelor is somebody who, a man specifically, who isn't married.
Okay, yeah. So, but how could you compare that with what you just said? You're saying harm is bad.
Yes.
Right? So what if I tell you, if someone's trying to hurt you, so you harm them back? Like, I just contradicted it.
Self-defense is not... So again, harm was kind of a loaded term. I went over that earlier.
Okay. Yes.
Like, for example, going to a chiropractor can hurt, but it can like, in the or getting a massage maybe can hurt, but it can be overall good for your well-being. So self-defense is not a kind of, what you want to do is you want to ask the question, does this action stand in causal relation to something that is good? Somebody trying to violate.
What is good?
What?
You said it has to be good. I'm asking what is good. Then you would have to
Good
define that
isn't
too.
something good.
At the end, since we're not doing anything that's objective, everything is subjective. Someone could just as easily define good as what you define as bad.
They would absolutely. I don't think you can logically or consistently do that at all, because then that person would have to commit to, like, our notions, our definitions, our intuitions, whatever, of what the good and what the bad is, are selfishly applicable, but then they are empathetically applicable toward other people as well. And there is no logical argument you can give that it's okay for you to commit the things that you know and understand are the bad things, but it's not okay for anybody to do those things to you.
I don't know, man. I think that you saying that it's bad to harm someone by definition doesn't
That's
make much sense.
so. Do you like being harmed?
I do not.
So then, by definition, harm is a kind of action that is unwanted or unwarranted, or in other words, what
No,
we think of as bad. It's not a warm fuzzy, it's a cold prickly.
Just because I think it's cold prickly and I don't like it doesn't mean by definition it's the case. Doesn't mean even if both of us agree to it, doesn't mean it's the
That's
truth by
true,
definition.
but what happens is humans form societies and they get together and they largely agree on all kinds of
that's why I gave you
things.
the example of society. What if in a Nazi society everyone agreed that it was okay to kill a certain type of a group or ethnicity, whatever?
I would
So
ask
as
them
an
for what their
example,
logical justification for it is, and they
well,
wouldn't
they'll
be
tell
able
you
to
that
give one.
they'll tell you that their race
But
is
the
superior.
Bible has the exact, like,
Let's not even talk about the
Moses
Bible.
and Hitler
Let's not
are
even talk
not
about the Bible.
substantially different in any way.
Let's not even talk about the Bible because it's going to deviate, right? Let's
Well,
put
it's
aside the Bible.
it's
Let's
gonna
say
blow up your entire line of argumentation. Is the problem?
I'm not even
What's the
Christian,
difference
so
between Moses and Hitler?
I mean, in terms of morality, physical, or what type of differences are you looking for?
Okay, so did Moses invade a land that he wasn't from and commit genocides in order to set up an ethno-state? And Joshua did a lot of it after Moses died. Did the Israelites invade a land that they weren't from and commit genocides in order to set up an ethno-state?
Look, I don't know. I don't know much of the history, right? So you're asking these questions the wrong person, right? I'm not an advocate for
You don't know
Christianity,
the
whatever.
story, like, of the Exodus at all. You don't know that after they left Egypt, they slaughtered the Amalekites and Midianites and all kinds of other people, and then we're setting up an ethno-state.
Fully versed in it, but
Okay, well,
I was just saying,
that is what happened, and God told
but
them
it's
to
a
do
bit
these
irrelevant.
things.
It's a bit irrelevant that you're mentioning that.
It's
a bit irrelevant.
1,000,000% not irrelevant. So I think that invading a land, sovereign land that you're not from, and committing a genocide against the people that live there in order to set up an ethno-state is wrong. I think it was wrong when Hitler tried doing that in Poland. I think the Exodus never happened, but it would also be wrong even if God told them to do that.
Like, I can't really comment on it. I'm not.
Then
I
why
haven't
do you
studied
say that
well.
morality comes from the Bible and you can't have objective morality without the
No,
Bible
I
if you
so
can't sit up here and defend anything
no.
that's in that book?
Let me rephrase it, just if it's not clear, right? What I'm trying to say, I'll rephrase it very clearly now. Let's not even talk about the Bible. What I'm trying to say is, without a set objective standard base for morality,
Which, according to you, is the Bible.
nope, I haven't said
Yes,
that.
yes, you have said
Okay,
that
I'll tell
multiple
you. Okay,
times
I'll
at the
take it back.
beginning of this
I'll take it back.
conversation.
I'll take it back.
No, you won't take it back. I'm not going to let you betray what you believe.
I just told you I take it back. Can we move forward now?
So tell me something that is objectively morally wrong.
That's what I was asking you. You told me that nothing is objective. Everything is subjective.
I'm asking you. You can pretend that you've won that part of the conversation. Tell me something that is objectively morally wrong.
I think that is objectively morally wrong to harm someone for no reason, murder someone for no reason.
What if God told you to do it?
It will be wrong. That would mean that
Okay, so
whoever you're
then
defining as God
objective
is,
moral facts, according to you, exist, and that means well, let me ask you a different question. Does God know that it's wrong to harm someone for no reason?
I have no clue. I'm not even sure why you're bringing God into this. I'm not a religious person. I'm trying to
Yes,
tell
you
you that.
are. Objective morality comes from the Bible. That's you earlier. You said that. So, anyways, does God know that it's objectively morally wrong to harm somebody for no reason?
Like I said, I have no clue.
Okay. I think you know that according to your logic, the answer to that is yes, because you said God would never do that kind of thing. So that means morality doesn't come from God. You think that moral facts exist somewhere, and if God is not allowed to violate them, then they're independent of God. And if God can know them, then we can know them.
Let me say what I'm trying to say, right? All I'm trying to say is, I don't know what it is, but without a set objective moral base, you must agree
What
that
makes the moral base objective?
It is just as valid that your good is someone else's bad, and someone else's bad is your good. It has to be just as valid.
No, it doesn't have to be just as valid. So, what?
You just gave the example.
What did you say? I forgot.
You just gave the example. Yeah.
What is it that makes something objectively morally good, or just objectively moral, whatever?
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to tell you, right? Is that base that we set the moral standard on has to come.
Wait, we set it? Okay, then I say that we declare that murder is wrong. There.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, if we want to be able to say that something is objectively morally wrong, then we must need an objective base that comes from something that is of higher power than us humans.
Give an example.
For example, God.
So let's say that there's a religion and they say, I get my morals from God, and God told me that I should murder everybody who goes by super green grass on TikTok. And he rage quitted. There we go. You can't get away from this. God is not a solution to any of this at all. That is just absolutely precious.